This may be obvious to most of you, but the left lied about what happened in Kenosha. Jacob Blake, the man who was shot several times in the back, was not just trying to break up a fight. In fact, according to dispatch audio, it's being reported by multiple outlets, he was trespassing. He had taken a woman's keys. There was a domestic scuffle, and the police were informed he had a felony warrant for his arrest. We already saw very early on video footage of Blake fighting with police officers. He breaks away. Taser failed. They draw their weapons, follow him. He refuses their orders, reaches into the vehicle. There are a lot of rumors about him having a weapon or something to that effect. But the cops got a call. Felony warrant, trespassing, domestic incident. What are the cops supposed to do? I remember the Me Too movement. I remember that when you had a guy who's wanted for a crime like he's wanted for, being found in the home of some woman he's not supposed to be in her house, taking her keys, the police are supposed to hold that person accountable, right? We saw all the activists say the police don't hold these people accountable. They get away with it. They show that face of that guy who got off. I don't want to name the guy. There's a story. It was out of like California. Dude abused a woman. And he got like a light penalty or whatever. They were so outraged. So what's the story we have here? This guy. Not necessarily a good dude, but innocent until proven guilty. In an open warrant, we'll see, maybe it wasn't real. Does he deserve to be shot several times? I don't think anybody does. But unfortunately, you don't know. You don't know how you would respond. These armchair activists were lying to us the whole time. And now we've got breaking information about George Floyd, too. The defense has put out information. They believe in one of the video frames, you can see him with something white in his mouth. They believe it's fentanyl. We have this story as well. Court filings. Medical examiner thought George Floyd had fatal level of fentanyl in his system. It was all a lie. I'm just sick of all of it. I'm done. I'm done believing the narrative that they put out. I don't know. I just defer. At this point, I defer to law and order. Just stop the rioting, stop the violence, stop the looting, and then we'll have a calm conversation. But if you want to come out and start making all these claims, nah. Let's read the story. And then Lindsey Graham's made a statement. We got more to talk about. This is from Madison 365. Madison 365 is supposed to be, it is a nonprofit outlet that trains marginalized communities how to engage in journalism. And this is what they've written. Kenosha police opened fire less than 5 minutes after being called, scanner audio, they say. In cell phone video shared widely on social media, Blake can be seen being followed by two officers with weapons drawn. We know all this. Blake remains in serious condition. According to the audio obtained by Madison 365, someone called police to report that Blake was at her home and wasn't supposed to be, and that he had taken her keys and was refusing to give them back. A dispatcher relayed this message to patrol officers at about 5:11 p.m. Sunday. About 30 seconds later, she let patrol officers know that there was, quote, an alert at this address for a 99 for the subject, apparently to indicate that a warrant had been issued for Blake's arrest. Court records indicate a warrant was issued on 3 charges, 2 misdemeanors and 1 G-class felony on July 7th. Court records indicate no previous criminal charges in the state of Wisconsin. About a minute after the initial call, the dispatcher indicated that Blake was leaving the premises and that the woman who had initially called had hung up. Just 5 minutes after the initial call, an officer can be heard reporting shots fired, and the dispatcher acknowledged the report. Additional officers were then dispatched to the scene, with another officer asking responding officers to verify that the officers initially on the scene were okay. About 40 seconds after the report of shots fired, an officer on the scene requests rescue ASAP, presumably for Blake. About 2 minutes after the shots fired call, another officer reported that all officers on the scene are okay. The State Department of Justice? The State Department of Justice, right, for Wisconsin, is leading the investigation. Governor Tony Evers and Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes are delivering remarks via online video this afternoon. The remarks are available here, and we will have an update on those remarks after this afternoon. So we also have this coming out of USA Today, JS Online, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. You see how they frame this? This is really fascinating. What happened? A video went viral. They said a man was trying to break up a fight between two women. It might be true. It might be true in the sense that he was in his own home and two women there were fighting or something. I don't know. They said a guy at this address. I don't know why he was supposed to be there. We don't know the full details. What we do know is the leftist narrative was a lie. He wasn't just some guy breaking up a fight and the cops shot him. I am sick of all the lies. Every single time someone comes out, lie, hands up, don't shoot, lie. George Floyd, lie. Body camera footage comes out. We saw what happened. Go watch the body camera footage if you don't believe me. The guy was resisting. He was kicking. He said, don't put me in the car. Hold me on the ground. He kicks his way out of the vehicle. He said, hold me on the ground 3 times. They put him on the ground. Now we're hearing the medical examiner saying he was overdosed. We knew that he had drugs in his system. I feel lied to. I feel absolutely lied to. I'm just sick of it. Make no mistake. I'm done playing games. The Democrats support the extremists. You see what happened yesterday because of all this news? Here's a tweet. Jamal Bowman says, we need Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to condemn the armed militias that killed 2 people in Kenosha yesterday while working in tandem with the police. Absolute lie. These militias are domestic terrorists looking to incite a race war. Protecting private property is cover for their agenda. Absolute lie. I said, could you imagine if Biden came out in support of rioters and extremists? We'd need a new word to describe what would happen because Trump landslide victory would be an understatement. There's no word for what would happen if Joe Biden comes out and says they're the bad guys. Yeah, Joe Biden is a coward and he has nothing to say. And even Don Lemon recognizes it. Everything we've been fed that's led up to months of rioting, fake news. Yeah, of course, we should have just waited for all the information to come out. Of course, it takes a long time. But the left didn't care. The politicians didn't care. Joe Biden didn't care. Joe Biden came out and said the officers must be held accountable. Oh, the officers who were responding to a potential domestic incident with a felon open warrant, a felony open warrant. So these cops are told this guy's got a warrant for his arrest for a felony charge, 2 misdemeanors. He is in the home of a woman. These cops probably rushed there thinking they were about to save someone's life. What if they didn't come? What if a guy breaks into a woman's house and he's got a felony for assault and the cops do nothing? And the cops are like, nah, you're on your own. What then? These cops did not. Look, you can argue the cop should have shot the guy 7 times in the back. It was excessive. I hear you. I do. But to act like, to push this lie, the cops were rushing into a dangerous situation. And I believe they were trying to do the best they could. And the guy went in his car and listen, man, let's read about George Floyd. Medical examiner thought Floyd had fatal level of fentanyl in his system. They say new exhibits filed in the case against the 4 former Minneapolis police officers accused of murdering Floyd suggest the Hennepin County medical examiner thought Floyd's fentanyl levels were at a potentially fatal level. But his and other medical examiners' findings showed he died of a combination of factors. 6 pieces of evidence were filed in the case on Tuesday, one day after the former officer Tao Tho's attorneys requested the release of the full autopsy report from the Hennepin County medical examiner, the Armed Forces medical examiner, and the private medical examiners hired by George Floyd's family. The Armed Forces medical examiner filed a memorandum agreeing with the Hennepin County medical examiner's final conclusion that Floyd's death was a homicide, saying his death was caused by the police subdual and restraint in the setting of severe hypertensive atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease and methamphetamine and fentanyl intoxication. However, 2 other memos filed Tuesday from the Hennepin County Attorney's Office about conversations with Chief Hennepin County Medical Examiner Dr. Andrew Baker paint a different picture about the nature of Floyd's death. In one memorandum filed May 26 after a virtual meeting with Baker, the attorney's officer said Baker concluded the autopsy revealed no physical evidence suggesting that Mr. Floyd died of asphyxiation. Baker told the attorney his investigation was incomplete pending a toxicology report. The other memorandum filed June 1st by the attorney's office indicated Baker said Floyd's level of fentanyl was pretty high and a potentially fatal level. Dr. Andrew Baker said that if Mr. Floyd had been found dead in his home or anywhere else, and there were no other contributing factors, he would conclude that it was an overdose death. Among the new documents Tuesday was a memorandum outlining the findings from the independent medical examiners hired by the Floyd family, who list Floyd's cause of death as traumatic asphyxia due to compression of his neck and back during restraint by police, as was evidence on bystander videos of the incident. No, it wasn't. In the actual body camera footage, George Floyd says, "I can't breathe" several times before he's even on the ground. Why would someone not be able to breathe? If they had, maybe they had an overdose of fentanyl in their system. I don't know. Reasonable doubt? You bet. In video footage, they show Floyd frantic refusing officers' orders, saying, "What did I do?" Looking away. They suggest the reason Floyd would not comply was that he had drugs on him and that he swallowed the drugs, I guess to try and conceal it, to hide it, get rid of it. And so they say, I think it was like a 2 milligram tablet of fentanyl he put in his mouth when the cops pulled up. I don't know. Maybe he didn't. But we've seen the body camera footage. We know the whole narrative was a lie. We know the Jacob Blake narrative is now a lie. We know people are rioting through the streets once again based on lies. And regular people are starting to take notice. Man, I don't know if you guys saw this video from Trump War Room. A lady calls in saying the Democrats didn't address any of this. And she's like, I live in the Twin Cities area. I live in Minneapolis. And they're not addressing it. And she's like, I put on the RNC and it's like inspirational and they're talking about it. She said it made her feel like there was hope. And what do we get? Oh, I love it, man. These journalists, one journalist tweeted the top 10 Facebook posts. And they're from Franklin Graham and Ben Shapiro and other, conservative outlets. And this journalist said, the conversation about the RNC on Twitter is dramatically different from what's being said on Facebook, and Facebook has 10 times the audience. Oh, and then some. These journalists are in a bubble, and they're spreading lies and paranoia, and Twitter allows it. Sean King right now advocating for some kind of terrorism, that we're going to start publishing names of innocent people until we get what we want. Because you know what happens when you publish people's names and private information? They show up and they hurt you. Lindsey Graham made a statement. He says he wants to know why Jacob Blake didn't yield when he was asked to yield before cops shot him 7 times in the back, leaving him paralyzed. I hear you, Lindsey. I'll tell you why. Because he had a felony warrant, because he didn't want to go to jail. He had a felony warrant. He wasn't supposed to be there. The cops were responding, so he fought with them, and he was going to get charged with probably assault on an officer, resisting arrest, and he was like, nah. Now his family's raised $1.2 million. When you see, I want you to realize something. I want you to take a look at this tweet from Jamal Bowman. He wants Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to condemn the armed militias. Armed militias. It was some kid, reportedly 17 years old. Armed militias. Could you imagine if Joe Biden actually came out and condemned those that were trying to protect businesses? I watched a video of an old man get cracked over the back of the head. Now, I'll tell you what. The Democrats are on the side of the riots. Joe Biden and all these other Democrats won't condemn them because they're on their side. They're scared. If they come out against it, they'll lose their support. They can't do it. Don Lemon said maybe Joe Biden's afraid. Afraid. I can respect Don Lemon for coming out and pointing these things out. But it was funny when Don Lemon said in the segment, he goes, they've got to address it. It's starting to show up in the polls, in the focus groups. Yes, it is. And we all online, people like me, other commentators have been screeching about this to no end. 90 days. Now Kate Brown of Oregon comes out. Mark my words, we must end the violence. She tweeted out, like a month ago? Peaceful protests must be protected. New York Times, peaceful marches give way. Now a couple of people are dead. And these videos are horrifying. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who actually served and saw real carnage. And they look at that like, man, if people only knew how bad it could get. I'll tell you what, man. I watched these videos of what happened. There's some horrifying photos. One, this guy's got a skateboard and he hits this guy, this kid, 17-year-old, whatever you want to call him. And then as he runs away, the dude rolls over and fires from the ground upward into his chest. There's a photo of the guy wincing, holding his chest. Man, I think he got shot in the heart. The video of the dude, he's gargling and crying on the ground after getting shot in the head. Where were the Democrats? I'll tell you what. We got one right here who's saying they should condemn the people defending themselves. Now, we don't know exactly what happened, but there have been some journalists who have gone through the video, and it looks like this dude with the rifle was defending himself. Obviously when he was on the ground being attacked, but I mean the initial attack, the initial guy who got shot in the head. It looks like there was rioters smashing up windows, destroying this lot, and he came in, told him to stop. Someone shot at him. That's what it sounds like. And then he fired back. Then he ran, saying he had just killed somebody. They chased him down, started beating him, and a guy had a Glock, was coming for him. He shot a guy in the chest, he shot a guy in the arm, ripped his bicep clean off. And they're saying they want Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to condemn that guy. Should we all just stand back? I watched a video. I can't remember who posted it. I think it may have been Matt Walsh or James Woods. I don't know. I think maybe James Woods. So it was New York under de Blasio. It's a bunch of people getting into an elevator. And then all of a sudden, two guys come up, hold the elevator open, and one guy pulls out a gun and points it at him. And they just start they take his watch, they take their phones. And I'm thinking to myself, the Democrats are on the side of the criminals. I mean, I'm not going to be so stupid as to say like Joe Biden walks up to the criminal and shakes his hand. I'm saying they don't want you to be safe, to be secure. They don't want to do anything they have to do that will offend, these communities like the left. I mean, they don't want to offend the left and the social justice community. So they ignore it. And I'm thinking about what we've seen already in Minneapolis, right? They disbanded the police outright. And we've seen these, like in Seattle, and we've seen these other places, they say, just give in. If someone points a weapon at you, just give in, just give up. You expect me and every one of these people in our cities, in our towns, where our businesses are, where our homes are, where our families are, and where for a lot of people where their kids are, someone shows up with a gun and a torch and they say, just get on your knees and say whatever you want, sir. Anything you want. Just take whatever you want. That's what this says to me. No, this kid came out, and you can criticize him. Some people are saying he came from Illinois. He shouldn't have done that. They've doxed him. Fine. But is he the bad guy? Nope. I've seen some people saying they're glorifying the use of weapons. I'm just done. I'm done. This is what they want you to do. They want you to bow. They want you on your knees. Protesters target D.C. diners, triggering backlash after heckling woman. All based on lies. It's time to shut it down. And the Democrats aren't going to do it. This woman sitting back in her chair as she's surrounded by people demanding she salute them. How insane is this? Check this out. Seattle rioters used concrete to seal police precinct door shut in effort to burn officers alive. They've tried it before. They did it in Portland. They barricaded the entrance and exits of a police building and tried setting it on fire. And the mayor of Portland said it was attempted murder. Where were the Democrats then? You think now I'm going to start listening to what the Democrats have to say? Listen, respect to the Democrats who are finally coming out and saying bad violence. Thank you. Thank you. Now I appreciate you coming out and condemning all this. Why don't you go sit over there in the corner while the people who have actually been calling us out get to work and solving the problem, and you can sit there and listen. They ignored it. They supported it. They went out. They called it peaceful protests. Just the other day, New York Times, peaceful marches give way to burning buildings and looting. That was just the other day. Now some people are dead, and I can only imagine it's going to get worse. And they're going to show up to your house, and they're going to make demands of you, and they're going to demand you raise your fist and demand you salute. And there's not going to be anyone there to stop it. I think it's funny when this guy says Joe Biden and Kamala Harris should condemn it. They can't. They can't condemn it. Condemn the armed people defending the businesses. If Joe Biden and Kamala Harris came out and said the far left has gone too far, they lose half their vote. Because they have cultivated this. The media has cultivated this. Boxed the Democrats into a corner where their party has been so radicalized that they would blame the people defending themselves over the extremists who have been rioting for 3 months based on lies. Just lies. Lies, man. All lies. If Joe Biden actually came out, man. But it doesn't matter. The Democrats have supported it. Now that we're hearing once again the narrative is just untrue, it doesn't justify the death of any of these people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I'm tired of being lied to. They wanted to turn something into a moment. They want to weaponize it. The far left does, for sure. And Joe Biden is too scared. Don Lemon even said maybe he's too scared. Yeah, Joe Biden's a coward. He's hiding in his basement. Joe Biden was hiding in his basement as the city was being burnt to the ground, and he wants to lead this country. I love it. There was a tweet put out by a progressive pundit who said that, Trump's going to take this imagery. He's going to take this footage and use it to his advantage. But he said, this is all happening under Trump's watch. All it's going to do is remind people it's his fault. It's not going to work. And it's funny to see a bunch of his fans saying, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Trump's narrative, his message isn't this happened under my watch. His narrative is I have had these officers standing by, ready. Meadows claims Wisconsin governor rejected offers of federal help to quell Kenosha rioting 12 hours ago. I'm sorry, that was the last update, published 14 hours ago. Wow. This story came out before those people died. Donald Trump's message isn't under my watch all this happened. Donald Trump's message is we have been begging them to take federal assistance. But we cannot because of the 10th Amendment, because of constitutional restrictions. The president can't just march into the states and send out law enforcement to arrest people on local issues. And they rejected federal assistance. So what do you think? You think people are going to watch all this and they're going to say, this is all Trump's fault? They're going to say, Trump, please, Insurrection Act now, please. That man standing in front of his business, nearly in tears, everything was destroyed. And it's been happening across this country for 3 months. We got a hurricane coming. It's about to make landfall. It's a Category 4. It's going to wipe out the Gulf Coast in Louisiana and cause countless, absurd damage. Now is not the time. Donald Trump needs to respond very, very quickly to what's happening with this Category 4. No doubt. And I think Donald Trump needs to respond to this chaos that's happening across this country. But I understand. Absolutely. The governor's got to call it in. And you know what? They want to claim Trump's a fascist and all these really awful things. And Trump isn't the one who is, Trump is not mandating, these cops coming out or anything like that. I think it's hilarious that Governor Kate Brown today came out with a tweet condemning the violence while she previously called it a peaceful protest. What a duplicitous individual. I'll avoid the more harsher insults in this one. But you think I'm going to vote for these people? No way, man. No way. Sorry, they had their chance. I've been sitting here saying, hey, riots are bad. And they've been like, what riots? Hey, make it stop. It's Trump's fault. Wait, what? Trump's secret police are bad. Yeah, okay, I'm done. We now know it's all lies. I mean, we knew it was lies. It's not surprising to anybody, but there you go. There's the story. This one came out fast, huh? I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out. It is a different channel, and I will see you all then.